But yeah,
Yeah,
they're difficult things, and it's just another one of those things where you don't know you're gonna have to deal with this lesson, but then there it is, presented in front of you by a kid who
yeah.
is genuinely curious. And I think that's what we got to celebrate, like you said, is the curiosity about it, and allow that curiosity to lead to the right kind of outcome, you know.
And I arrive at this point via that statement. What we're, I think,
Mm.
as artists trying to really get back to and really like readjust to is the feeling of curiosity and the viewpoint of a child is what artists, I think, are striving towards. It's a very pure
Yeah.
thing. It's a very altruistic thing to try to create something from nothing. You know, the impetus of music, the creation, the that spark of life that we're trying to inject into nothingness. uh, I think that's how we see the world through the eyes of a child, via that wonderment, that bewilderment, excitement, and ecstatic joy. I think we're I think that's what we're all trying to achieve with that.
Yeah. And I think also it's like if you think too much about it, the magic disappears, you know.
Hmm.
There's an element of that, I think, to creating music, and when it's actually the magic and when it's not, you know. I mean, I know for me, um, when I'm writing, when I'm working on vocals, um, for me, when I write, I'll do usually I work on music first, you know, get a palette, get a canvas, you know, and the images and the color that I feel, you know, um, and then I want to dress it up, right? So, but before I do that, I do a pass, you know, several passes, just completely freestyling. And
Hmm.
and there's moments in there where it's like, oh, that was a thing, that was a thing. And sometimes it's a melody, sometimes it's a line where it's like, damn, that's heavy. But everything I do starts from freestyling and finding magic in the spontaneity of it. And that's a kid thing, you
Yep.
know, that's playing, right? And so through playing, you can nail down the things that work and the things that tap into that sense of realness, I suppose, because that's real when it comes from a place like that. And I think the more real moments you can put in songs like that, whether it's lyrics or melodies or whatever, the more a song's going to resonate with others. It just made me think of that. But yeah, we always have to remember to play.
Yeah.
We overthink things way too much, and I think you can recognize when bands are doing that, when they're in it, man. They're having fun. And I mean, there's a band called the Witches, Wytches, I think, from England. That just they first came to my mind just now, but they have that sense of play. You're like, damn, you're just you're on the edge, you know, in a good way. Um, but yeah, you spot it a mile away if you're in tune, you know. And
Yeah,
if you're
that's
not, you like it and you don't know why you like it, but there's some dope about it, you know.
I often wonder if there are, you know, people in the, you know, greater sphere of pop music who feel, who extol these virtues in the same way that we do. I'm sure there are some, but I think
Yeah,
there's as much mathematics involved in what they're doing as anything else. But
yeah, I agree. Although I did watch that Taylor Swift documentary, and I have to say, man, she's a true artist. She's a true artist. She really the way she approaches the work, it's very instinctual. I forget what it's called, like Americana or something. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's not normally my go-to realm,
mhm,
but like I said, I'm in the place now where I'm like, I want to know about all these people and like what drives them, and it's hard as fuck to be up there. So I want to see what their process is. But I was impressed. I was really impressed. I felt like she's really, and I also really appreciate and respect what she's done with her old records. You know, she's
yeah,
gone back because of the, you know, legal reasons. She doesn't own that shit, right? So she's gone and re-recorded them slightly differently so she can own that shit, which I think is actually dope and
yeah,
really punk rock, and
yes, it is.
is doing an amazing thing for the industry and shining a light and awareness on a lot of the fucking criminal shit that's been going on in our industry, you know? So Taylor Swift's a punk.
Yep. And she's a local girl. She's from right around this area of Pennsylvania, so I always have to kind of root for her just because she's from around here,
Well, there you go.
you know.
Right on.
But there's you could probably find something you love about practically anyone if you look hard enough. That's why
Yeah,
I always like my approach to life isn't what it was when I was a teenager, when I was
totally.
a young skinhead going out and fist fighting Nazis. If I had known then what I know now, I'd have been going up to them and just giving them a hug and being like, dude, whatever is making you hate so much, just fucking let it go.
You'll feel better over here, I promise. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. We'll all get drunk together and listen to, 1968 ska music and you'll be a happy person.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, there's some truth in that too. I feel like, a lot of the hostility, a lot of these people feel like all over, is directed at the wrong things. It's a deeply ingrained sickness in our society that, going back to what we first started talking about, the ruling class wants to divide and rule, and they want to sow these seeds of mistrust and hatred, and we're the collateral. And I think if we could all realize we're not angry at the other, we're angry that we feel disenfranchised, or we don't feel looked after, or that our kids are suffering without health care, and it's their fault, it's like, nah, man, once you step back and you see the matrix for what it is, you're like, wow, we're all the same. Actually,
mhm.
we're all closer to each other than these fucking billionaires, the people running this show, you know so I mean, that's one of the great tragedies of the current state of affairs, is this obsession with accusing your neighbor, whether it's on social media or whether it's on a bigger scale, like what we just talked about, saying it's your, see, the foreigners problem, the foreigners are the problem. They're coming here taking our jobs, whatever, that kind of shit. But yeah, if we could only all come together, man. uh, Give those Nazis a hug and tell them it's gonna be okay.
I'm telling you,
I
man.
don't know. Maybe you should punch him. Who knows?
Maybe you should,
On the
but
fence about that.
uh, I've seen evidence to state that if you greet anyone with a little bit of love,
I'm with
they
you
may,
though.
you're not going to turn them, but they're more
Yes.
apt to hear you out without
Yes.
attacking you. And I'd seen evidence of that during this one Black Lives Matter march, where there was a gentleman of color walking around amidst this group of white power, rebel flag wielding tiki torch whites, Sieg Heiling, and the guy walked right up to the biggest, baddest looking one and said, "Why do you hate me, man?" And he couldn't answer him.
Wow.
And he's walking along. He's
Wow.
like, "Really? Why do you hate me? I don't hate you. I love you. Let me give you a hug." And the guy just froze, and the dude hugged him, and he hugged him back, and that was kind of where the video ended. But you have to kind of think that if he didn't change that guy's mind, at least he planted a seed.
Yeah.
If he walked up and
Man,
punched
that's
him in
intense.
if he walked up and punched him in the face, he would
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
just another reason to be a hateful asshole.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. And it's a hard one, it's because there's just not everybody feels like that. And the riffs just keep getting deeper and weirder. They're definitely getting weirder.
It's
Some weird ass riffs going on,
it's getting more
you
David
know?
Lynchian by the year.
Totally. Yeah. Hey, weird shit going on.
I'm,
But
I'm
we just gotta stay true to the course. And I do believe, that music and art is one of the great equalizers, that really connects people on a level that goes beyond all this stuff. You know, Anybody can listen to so and so and connect with it. It doesn't matter who you are. So this it's got the power to break down borders and bring people together. I mean, I used to say at my shows, I mean, I don't get as mouthy as I used to, but like I used to say, like, I don't care what you believe, you are all welcome here. leave your bullshit at the door. Let's all come together and have a good time. And you know, I mean, it was in the midst of all the horse shit that was going on with Trump elections and whatnot, and I obviously wasn't down with that, but like I was of the sentiment like, man, there's got to be a way we can all get along.
Yeah.
You know, we're better than this. We're better than this demonization of other people. But it's so nuanced, and the problem is, right, and we're in this era where we've got this gagging order for non-binary politics. You know, you're either this or that. And if
Mhm.
you're not this or you speak up against this, then you are that. And I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
And it even makes me watch what I say sometimes. Even just now, I had a moment where I was like, oh, maybe I should be careful about how I present that. But nah, fuck it, man. I mean, I really want to stand behind that. It's like we should all be curious about the nuance of these things. There is a massive gray area that the world actually exists in, right?
Mhm.
It's not a binary world. Um, and we should all be curious, and we should all be exploring that gray area, but we should also be curious about the other, right? The other perspective. Like, how can we ever truly make a judgment if we don't understand how somebody's arrived at their system of beliefs and whatnot, you know? A, I find it fascinating, but B, it's just also exactly the shit you hate if you're going to be that judgmental of someone and not at least try to understand where they're coming from, even if you disagree, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
But
there's something that people on, kind of our side of things as well have just as many bigotries about, anything that falls right.
yes,
I get that. I feel that. But there are people over there, man. And a lot of the hateful sentiments that have become de rigueur for the right are
yeah,
they're there for a very, very toxic reason. And most of
mm,
that has to do with the fact that this patriarchal capitalist society
mm,
has privileged them in certain ways, and
absolutely,
they feel that these privileges are being encroached upon by people of color, people of different sexual orientations, and they feel like they're losing their grasp.
yeah,
They're losing their grasp. They feel like they're losing their country. I think what they need to understand is
good.
we were all here anyway, and it wasn't that good
Yeah,
to begin with. It
yes,
was,
exactly. There's this pining for a time gone by that actually was not a good time for a lot
yeah,
of people. You know, it's like, well, this used to be, you know, this whole "Make America Great Again." It's like, are you fucking kidding me? When was that?
yeah,
When was that?
hasn't happened yet.
Uh, this country was built on the blood of fucking Native Americans, you know, by slaves. Like, come on, come on. You know, we need to, you know, recognize that at the very least, you know, recognize the atrocities that have been committed in the name of patriotism, fucking freedom, you know. And I mean, I find the whole whitewashing of history a very disturbing thing, you know, because also it's like we talked about when your kids are starting to go to school, you know, they're going to classes, they're learning about social studies, and you're like, hang on, I need to kind of read what's coming back here and make sure that this is the right uh, angle. But I think things are changing. I mean, the thing is, like, look, this country was started by a certain type of person, certain types of people, and times were very different. And I mean, they were all slave owners pretty much. And women were second class citizens. And I mean, how are we clinging on to an ancient document as if it's like the be all and end all of what this country represents when it was created by those people? And it's just gotten more and more picked at and ratified and nuanced to the point where it's unrecognizable
Mhm.
what this thing actually means. It's like a tax form, you
Yeah,
know? And so I mean, the whole thing just needs to be completely just redone. You
It
know,
needs a redo. That's
it just,
true.
yeah, it just needs to be like dry erase board. Okay, so what's actually important here, right? Can we make this thing smaller? You
Yeah,
know?
streamline
But
it a
yeah,
little bit.
it's also like it's also deeply entrenched in religion, even though it was about like freedom from that in England in a way, you know, the monarchy and whatnot, and creating a free society, quote unquote. There came a time where they reintroduced um, in the Pledge of Allegiance the word God, right? And I
Mm,
think it was Eisenhower, but it wasn't there initially. You know, I pledge allegiance to the flag. It was even simpler: United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. But they added to God because of, surprise, surprise, communism threats,
mhm.
right? Post fucking Cold War, pretty sure
Yeah,
that's when it was reintroduced. And here we are again.
and now they're trying
Yeah,
to all of the beneficial things, that we have kind of injected through, law, basically like Roe versus Wade, you know,
yeah.
they're trying to subtract that
Oh,
from the
yeah.
permanent document, like, and that's actually beneficial because women are going to get abortions any fucking way.
Yes. Yeah.
Difference is they'll get it done the right way, this way.
Yeah.
They're going to back alleys if you make that shit illegal, guaranteed.
But
We
also
don't.
the reasoning they have behind some of these fucking things is all steeped in very extremist, fundamentalist religious views, which, like, I mean, separation of church and state, bro.
Yeah,
Like, we shouldn't be making decisions based on that. And it seems to be really creeping back in again. And I don't know, there is a kind of weird irony that we have this whole, you know, Russia thing happening at the same time as this resurgence of the right wing Christian fundamental shit in the States. I don't know. It just seems to have this weird cycle. Um, Maybe that's ignorant of me to say. I don't know the whole ins and outs of that, but uh, yeah, I don't think religion should have any place in a free society, in the government. You know, and I think this is the issues when you have certain ethnocentric states and who are run that way in the Middle East, you know. Um, but that's a conversation for a different time.
yes. But
But
it's
it's just
relevant.
very scary when you have that running the show, and it's based on ancient texts and stuff that was written at a time when there were certain intolerances that were justified at the time. But
Mm,
society's progressed so far since these texts were written, you know? Like, how can we be judging the modern individual based on ancient religious texts that, you know, I don't know.
which
Some of
aren't.
some of it's fiction.
Most of it is because fact
Yeah.
is they've been written and rewritten and rewritten. As far as the Bible's concerned, that's been tailored to suit the needs of more British kings than you can
Yeah.
possibly imagine.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
It's probably unrecognizable from the original,
Mm,
unrecognizable. And you take into consideration all of these other, Middle Eastern based religions, because that's basically the world religions all came from the same general area. You know,
mm.
they were all at war with each other then. I fail to see how that should resonate in this day and age as something to adhere to spiritually. Like, okay, this book that millions
On a
upon
governmental
billions
level. Yeah.
have died over. Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, there's something that just doesn't ring true there. I mean, you could like Jesus all you want. The people who he has the worst PR on earth. He has the
Yeah.
worst PR on earth. He could be the
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. True.
He could have been wonderful, and if the Bible's to be believed, he really was. But the people who like him don't follow him.
Mm. But also, like, it's this expectation that you know, others should adhere to the teachings that aren't believers. Like, how are you going to say what's right for everybody in the world? You know, because you think that's right, because you think these people are going to hell and you're not. You know, it's just so self-righteous. And it just has no place in government. That kind of mentality. You know. But also, like, just on a purely human level, how can we as an individual ever claim to know what's right? How can I ever claim to know what's right for you in your life? It's just like, it's such a dumb concept for me to even consider. Like, I can't fathom how somebody could arrive at that resolution. Like, I know what's right for the entire population of the world. It's crusade shit,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
histrionic. It's absolutely
History on
histrionic.
crack.
Yeah.
Histrionic, yeah, yeah. History on crack as well.
Both.
Anyway.
So I guess, boy, we could really just go, couldn't we?
Hey, I'm glad I haven't had a coffee.
Well, yeah. If you were to leave us with one thing, all right, one thing you would like to kind of put across to my listenership or to the people who would be tuning in because of you, what would you like them all to know right now? One thing, one byline.
I mean, I kind of get asked this often in things, and I mean, I don't want to say this is my go-to, but to just don't worry about what other people think about your process and who you are. Just have the audacity to stand in your power and do the things you do and stand up for the things that you know are right. Um, and I think sometimes you got to do that, and you got to take some hits because of it. And I sure have. You know, I've stood up for some things, and I've been torn to shreds before, but I know that's made me a stronger person and made me even more strong in my convictions, you know, and but also not to take the bait. And this is something we talked about, we touched on slightly, but I think it's a really good topic. You know, there's a lot of it's the knee-jerk animal response we want to have to fight back when someone
Mhm.
says something that incenses you. It's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna tell them. And there's this shit, you know, this keyboard warrior mentality. I need to get online and tell people, blah, blah, blah. And you know, I've fallen prey to that a couple times. It doesn't feel good. You know, you're like, man, just drop the knowledge like you drop the mic
Mhm.
and walk off and keep doing your thing and go about your business. Keep making art, you know, keep showing love to your community and the people around you. I'd say invest in your community. Find out what good things are happening, what you know, mutual aid or community event spaces. Find you know, soup kitchens. Find something that you could do and help your children get involved with community enterprises like that, because I feel like otherwise we are completely at the mercy of this machine that's literally grinding us to extinction. If we don't take initiative and get the kids out there and educate them about homelessness and about community, I think we're as good as gone, man. And I don't want to get dark about it, but the government is not helping us. We need to get the kids out there. They need to learn about nature. They need to plant gardens. And here I am on my soapbox, but it's just, you know, you have kids, you start really deeply caring about this stuff. And I mean, if even like 5 people listen to this and connect with that, then I'll feel happy about that, because that's what I want to do. You know, I want to get. I'm talking to myself as well. You know, I want to get
Yeah.
more involved in community stuff because it's that's the future.
And it's easier to not, isn't it? It's easier to just
Totally.
go about your day and not put yourself out there and not expend the energy on involving yourself in an enterprise that has no immediate payoff for you. But
Yeah.
that is the immediate payoff is spiritual reward, and that comes back tenfold.
At the very least, plant some flowers. I know
Yeah.
that sounds stupid, but I think it's a lesson in patience and growth. And you, by nurturing for something, um, I think it's a healing thing, you know, and I think it teaches you something about time and patience. And I suppose that's what it's all about, you know, community. It's about the flowers, man. Community flowers. But
Flower.
anyway, no, I'm not as serious as I come across, I suppose. But you know, this is the deep me, and it's stuff that I'm worried about and I care about, and especially being a dad, it's just in my face all the time. Um, but on the other level, I'd say keep making art, keep doing things that make you feel connected, that make you happy, that don't necessarily have a purpose to sell. I think that's important. Don't make stuff to sell all the time. Although, yeah, you got to make some money, but like make stuff, have fun doing it, throw it away, make sand paintings and blow them away. You know, like feel the process and the connection with that, and do it with others, collaborate, you know. Um, anyway, that's my silly words of wisdom.
No. They're far from
But,
silly, and it definitely resonates with me. So it,
well, good.
that and with that note,
Right
I
on.
will let you get back to your family. It's been amazing talking to you. And when your
You too,
next
brother.
album's coming out, will you come on again?
Absolutely. For
Awesome, brother.
sure.
I appreciate
Love
you
to.
very much.
You too, man.